y'all, it's Nikki. Many of you know that I love bourbon, so I'm super excited to tell you about the Bronfman and Bourbon event happening January 24th at the Mansion. It's a solo recital that will include works of Mozart, Debussy, and Tchaikovsky. Plus, general admission tickets include a whiskey tasting of Old Forester bourbon from Brown-Forman and a whiskey sample from local Johnny Pickles distillery. So head over to the events page of atxmusic.com to grab your tickets now. And because I love our listeners, there's a coupon code just for you. Use code CITY10 for 10% off of your ticket purchase. I'll see y'all there. Today on CityCast Austin, lots of y'all might be participating in Dry January, which is just a cute name for not drinking alcohol this month. But what does a 30-day break really do for you? I'm here with the medical director of Austin Public Health to find out. It's Thursday, January 23rd. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here today with Dr. Desmer Walks, Medical Director of Austin Public Health, and we are going to talk about Dry January. Hi, Dr. Walks.
Hi, good morning.
So, Dry January, do you participate? I don't even know. Do you drink? Do you participate in Dry January? Have you ever?
I've not participated. I do drink wine. I have made that resolution like lots of people. Well, I shouldn't say I don't participate. I have done it before, but it's not just in January.
Yeah, same for me. I do it a couple of times throughout the year, typically either right before my birthday. I take the entire February off. So I'm like preparing myself for the onslaught, or I'll do it like right after South by, or I don't know. So if I feel like I've just been kind of drinking too much, I'll take some time off. So do we know what are the benefits of quitting drinking for 1 month? Is it worth it? Does it do anything to your body?
Yes, there have been studies to show that abstinence for 1 month has significant health benefits. It can change the chemistry in your body. It can improve your blood pressure, decrease by lowering it. It can decrease your weight. Some of the metabolic things, the way that your body handles the things that it ingests can be improved. The liver is the main organ in the body that processes things that we put into our bodies. And so the alcohol affects the liver adversely. So by taking that month off, you can improve what we call liver function test and decrease those elevations that occur from using moderate to high quantities of alcohol. And it can also decrease things that are shown to be associated with cancer. And so that 1 month of abstinence is beneficial. And in Britain, they've had public health campaigns for dry Januaries that have been followed and shown to have lasting effects for up to 6 months after the month of abstinence.
What?
Yeah.
That is wild. Okay, so I did not know it was that serious. That's awesome. That's awesome. Those are a lot of benefits, right? For just 30 days. Kind of like, it seems like it's worth it.
Yes.
What do you think the most noticeable thing that happens when you stop drinking? Like, I wouldn't notice, I don't know if my liver was functioning better, but like, what do you think the most noticeable thing would happen that I'd be like, oh my God, if I stopped, or if anyone stopped drinking?
Depending on what your level of use is, I think the thing that probably is going to be most noticeable to people is weight, because that's something that that's kind of one of those number one up on the top 1, 2, 3 New Year's resolutions. So The ability to see that change in weight by lowering your weight with abstinence, I think, is probably what a lot of people will notice first.
You're right. I have a friend of mine who does it every 6 months. So she does it in January and June. And she says the thing that she notices the most is that she's less puffy, especially in her face. And I think we always just kind of attribute it to like water weight. I was like, oh, you've lost water weight. But it sounds like that's just like her straight up losing weight. Like it's just like shedding off. That's wild. So I'm curious, does quitting, even if it's temporarily, do anything to you mentally?
When we do things to change lifestyle habits for a period of 21 days or more, that makes it such that it becomes a habit change. And those things can impact us past the period of time that we've set as our goal in favorably. And that's what the studies that have been done in abstinence in the UK and other parts of the world have shown, that not only is there a change in habit during the period of time when there's complete abstinence, but there's some carryover of the ability to self-regulate the behavior.
Wow.
You'll be able to say, hey, no, I don't want to, or regulate so that you're not drinking as much.
So 21 days to form a habit.
That's what
they say.
Yeah, generally. For some people, it may take a little bit longer, depending on whether their factors are impacting it,
Yeah.
the environment, the folks that you hang out with,
Yeah.
the availability, and stress, right? If your go-to is to go have a drink when you've had a bad day, finding a way to handle that bad day, maybe going out and exercising, playing with your child and having fun, or getting outside and, with friends and for a pickup game or something like that. If you can find an alternative to that go-to habit, that will help make it such that you can say, that's not what I'm going to use to address or handle the stress.
I love that, because I feel like a lot of bars, which is great. I mean, a lot of bars are offering, there's a really cute word for it. Yeah, like zero alcohol cocktails. Mocktails, thank you.
Yeah,
they're offering, like, they've created special menus with mocktails, which I love the idea, but they also seem very sweet. It looks like the stuff that they are putting in might be a little sweet. So I like the idea of just switching it all together. Like, I'm going to go walk, or I'm going to go, when I've had a bad day, instead of drinking, I go shop, or I go buy some fabric. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be in the bar at all. But I like the switch, just finding something else to do. So you mentioned that there were studies that said they saw effects last up to 6 months, right? Are there other long-term effects? Like, do we know what those effects are that last longer than the 30 days? Because I guess the reason I'm asking this is because my fear is you do your 30 days and then
feel like you got it licked and don't have to. The Surgeon General just came out with a report on alcohol and talked about limiting alcohol use to one drink or less or none, because of the association with alcohol and the relationship to cancers, particularly cancers of the mouth, voice box, it's parts of the GI tract. And that's been known for some time now. Having said that, there's more study that needs to be done on whether or not that is truly something that's applicable across the board. We know that genetics plays a role in the development of cancers, and so there's more study to be done. But there's certainly enough research and enough epidemiological study to show that there is a relationship to the use of alcohol and cancer. Alcohol is metabolized in the body to a chemical called acetaldehyde, which is, if you think it sounds similar to formaldehyde, it's in that kind of
That's
grouping.
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
I saw
Oh
your
my,
eyes.
oh
So,
my
so,
God.
and that's something that can damage the genetic makeup of the cell. So, definitely limiting alcohol use is advisable, and particularly consideration to those who may have a genetic predisposition to developing cancer. Studies have shown that reducing and abstaining or abstaining from alcohol use does decrease that likelihood of cancer-related outcomes. So at the very least, just raising awareness so that people know that, you know, having too much to drink is not recommended. Knowing your risk, talking to your healthcare provider about alcohol use, truthfully, is all part and parcel of doing those preventative things that we need to do for self-care.
So you said that one drink or no drink, is that per day? Oh,
Yes. And it differs for men and women. Women
yeah.
typically drink less than men. And the report that the U.S. Surgeon General just put out shows that of the cancers that are alcohol related, one of those is breast cancer. And there's a 40% association between the development risk between breast cancer development and alcohol from just looking at the numbers of people who've developed breast cancer. So,
40?
yeah, that's looking at the cases of people that develop breast cancer. So,
Right.
and so it's good to see mocktails emerge because they give people the opportunity to still gather and socialize and have a glass in their hand that has something in it that's less toxic to the body. When we think about the harm of something, it's always associated with how much, right? And so for every individual,
Yeah.
that how much is what we still need to understand scientifically.
I'm curious about, are there any drawbacks to doing dry January? Because it doesn't sound like there are.
I think the drawback may be that you start on the program of abstaining and then don't quite make it to the end. And so you may feel defeat from that. But I mean,
Mm.
I think that a self campaign of abstinence is going to be much more successful if you have a buddy to do it. It's kind of like the buddy that you have to go walking with you and,
Yeah.
keep you on the straight and narrow.
Accountability.
Yeah, accountability buddy. Yeah.
I'm definitely a person that needs an accountability buddy. That is
Yeah.
me to a T. If I'm left to my own devices, no, it will not. It will not
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It just sounds like the alcohol is just kind of bad for you. Are there any health benefits of alcohol at all?
So I'm glad you brought that up because there are studies to show that there are possible health cardiovascular benefits to drinking red wine. And so that in the face of this recent release of the alcohol related cancers is where it's important for people to have that talk with their physician on where that sweet spot is for health. Problems arise when we can't say no and not have the next glass. That's when the issues arise. And that's where having someone as an accountability buddy helps after the period of abstinence, if you're finding that, or seeking out the help of an addiction specialist.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of cases, it's like, even if you have a glass of wine, if you pour the glass all the way to the top, I've just learned this recently, you are now drinking two glasses of wine because the entire wine glass is not one glass, but
Size
also,
matters. Yeah.
but also it's like when you're in those social situations, especially even if you're at home, it's like, they come around with the bottle, like, want to top off. And it's nice to have someone there that's like, no, we're like pack animals. So if one person says no, then it kind of like inspires everyone else to be like, oh, actually, no, we're okay. We're good. It's fine. But if just one person's, it's like if there's any push, I'm done for. It feels like the only time in my life where I'm like, yeah, I'm a follower. Let's all have more to drink. Hey y'all, it's Nikki. I have to tell you about Takova's boots. I finally have a pair, and I don't know if y'all know this, but they're handmade, high quality, and stylish. And they're comfortable right outside of the box. Now, I know we buy everything online these days, but trust me, you have to get fitted for some boots at Takova's. Now, whether you're like me, a newbie to boots, or you have a closet full of them, the folks at Takova's will help you find your next favorite pair. So, grab a friend, head on over to the Takova's flagship on South Congress or their store at the Domain. Plus, good news, they just opened a store in Georgetown at 709 Main Street for those of you that live just a little further north. With 3 locations in town, you have no excuses. So, that's tecovas.com, TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all.
Do you plan your vacations based on whether you can speak the local language? With Babbel, language no longer has to be the barrier. I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast, and I went to Mexico City a couple of years ago with my girlfriend, who's a native Spanish speaker, so I just let her do all the talking, like all of it. I adored the city, and now I'm going to go back in a couple of months, but with my college roommates, who are a bunch of middle-aged men, none of us Spanish speakers. When I was younger, I might not have been bold enough to do that, but now I'm not anxious because Babbel has me covered. Thanks to Babbel, I know how to order a taxi, how to give directions, how to order in a restaurant, all the small and useful bits of language that make international travel easier. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons, handcrafted by over 200 language experts, get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks or whatever pace you choose. And because conversing is the key to really understanding each other in a new language, Babbel is designed using practical, real-world conversations, especially the sort you need while traveling. Food, how to get places. Babbel's tips and tools are inspired by the real-life stuff you actually need when communicating. With a focus on conversation, you'll be ready to talk wherever you go. So I hope I'll see you in Mexico in a couple of months. Or, as we say, espero verte en Mexico en un par de meses. So let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting CityCast listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So you mentioned that there are studies that says it can be good for your cardiovascular system. What are some other ways that we can do things that are good for our cardiovascular system? Because that's like, you can go for a walk. You can, kind of like you said before.
Got it.
Like,
yeah, you can go for a walk. You can get good sleep, like 7-8 hours a night of solid sleep. You can take time out to meditate and just, shut off, unplug, and really be intentional about making time for those things that we're talking about, because that's, I think, one of the hardest things in our society to do is to take time for self-care. Prioritizing that is really important. This is a little off topic, but not really. Adverse childhood experiences are related to the development of chronic disease. And we're talking things like growing up in a household where a parent had depression or alcoholism or was incarcerated or experiencing abuse or neglect, seeing someone in your home being abused, either physically or verbally, the death or loss of a parent. And so those types of things impact our stress response. And if they are chronic in nature, we term that toxic stress. And remember, earlier I talked about how stress impacts our lives. So, we kind of snicker when we're talking about self-care and, taking time to, meditate. But that is truly a way to give your body that reset so that you can continue on with the day and the stress of the day.
That is wild. I know several people in my life, they don't drink because they come, like their parents were alcoholics. And so there is this belief or this question of whether or not alcoholism is hereditary or genetic.
That is true.
Okay.
For a multitude of reasons, but what I was talking about with the adverse childhood experiences or ACEs, having 4 or more of those increases your risk by something like 36 times to have alcohol issues. And then there are people that do have a genetic predisposition to particularly not metabolize alcohol the same way, and they're having more effects from the alcohol and can potentially, in some instances, have more damage to cause the alcohol-related cancers. It's not clear-cut, and that's why having a conversation with your provider helps to find out what it is your risk is.
When I graduated high school, I'm not going to say this is true of everybody, but when I graduated high school and got into college, all I could think about was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost there. I can drink. It's pushed almost in our society about like this rite of passage that that you have when you turn 21. 90 to 95% of the people that I know started drinking in their early 20s, young 20s. I started hearing about it when I was 16. It's wild to me that something that is so seemingly so harmful it's just like such a part of our lives socially and like, I mean, I can't even remember hearing any kind of warnings about alcohol unless you were pregnant until I got well into my late 30s, early 40s.
I'm glad you brought that up as well, because that is the thing, right? Public education impacts behavior, and we've done a great job of explaining and giving the public the information on the harmful nature of tobacco use. And we're starting that with alcohol. I think that is a good thing. More needs to continue to happen. It is related to motor vehicle collisions. And so we now have people getting designated drivers and calling a cab or Uber or whatever. So we're making some strides in that regard. But the health risks are the place where we need more conversations like this happening so that people understand what the risks are so they can make informed decisions. And as far as kids go, it's really important for parents to have that conversation with their children. Delaying the start of the use of alcohol is beneficial to the brain and to the young brain. And so the longer that we can delay that, the better. And give the person whose brain we're trying to protect, our child's brain, the ability to, when they do make that decision, because it takes a while for us to learn that our actions have consequences.
It takes a very long time. I was very lucky. I had strict Black parents that put the fear of God in me, so I I did not do any high school drinking. My mom was not having any of that. So like, I was definitely one of those kids that waited. But to your point, there was a lot of conversation around don't drink and drive. You know what I mean? Like, don't drink while you're pregnant. There's a lot of conversations around how to drink responsibly versus how about just don't drink. And here's why you probably should not drink. And so I'm curious, like, is there any data around dry January in Austin that you guys are seeing, like fewer crashes, any kind of like correlations?
We are working to look at data for emergency room visits, and we definitely are looking at motor vehicle collisions, but I don't have that available to give you at this point in time. And we are working with partners to start to incorporate routine screening for alcohol use at the time of seeing people. We're on the right road. We're going in the right direction. We know that we have a community that works together for change. We've done a lot in the opioid crisis together to reduce the number of lives lost, and been very successful in doing so here in our community. So I think as we have more conversations like this, that people will understand that they need to take the time to understand what their individual risk is, and make those decisions accordingly.
Austin is such a drinking town to me. We're a quote unquote college town. We have an entertainment district. Do we keep data about how much Austinites drink?
Have data on primarily on the relationship between drinking and motor vehicle collisions.
Yeah. So is our number of motor vehicle collisions and drinking still pretty, well, I think even just one is a lot, but it feels like
it's high for our area, and that is why we've been focusing on improving screening and talking about the need to have a designated driver, and really looking at that because of what you said. We are a college town. We are the music capital of the world. We have special provisions during some of our big festivals. So if someone decides to leave their car and take an Uber because they've had too much, we have that period of time when those things are, there's a little bit more lenience about that. And that is all in recognition of the fact that we don't want people to have accidents. So as a city and a county, we're committed to safety.
I feel like Uber and Lyft, for me personally, I mean, it's just a game changer. And I know that I'm privileged enough to be able to afford Uber and Lyft, right? I understand that, but like once that came online, I was like, oh, there's no need for me to ever drive again after having even one drink. I'm like, you're telling me I don't have to do anything? I can just be plopped off? That's perfect for me. That, you know what I mean? And I think also even downtown or even I guess on campus, they have a late night bus. And so they will pick you up, I think, on a point on 6th Street and take you into West Campus. I do feel like the city as a whole does a good job of like, okay, we are offering you every little bit of, help that we can give you so that you do not have to do this thing. So I'm curious, is there anything else that you think that we should know about Dry January that I haven't asked you?
I think I like the term dry January, but I'd like it to be, I think we need to think of another time or another name for it as well. But taking the time to, give your body a rest from alcohol has many health benefits, even if it's just for that 30 days. And then taking the time to have a conversation with your provider about what is the risk for you so that you understand that and can make informed decisions. I think those are hopefully the takeaways from our conversation for people as we go forward. And also, what are the benefits, if any, to you as an individual.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with me, Dr. Walks. I love having these conversations with you because I learn something every single time. Now you have me rethinking my whole, I'm like, maybe I should do January and February just so I can see if I can do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to get this information out there.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to Dr. Walk's website and the study we mentioned in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.